Welcome everyone to episode 14 of Around the Controller, the bi-weekly gaming discussion show where we talk about various gaming topics and what we've been playing. This week's topic of the show is going to be our remakes, by their very nature, diminished pieces of art. Before we get to any of that, though, I'm joined by our magnanimous leader, Zach.
Hello, hello.
And the dapperest of lawyers, Pridge.
Good evening.
Now, usually before we get to the topic of the show, and I say usually, we're going to do it again today, so I'm not changing it up. Pridge, what have you been playing?
So, just to rapid fire a few things, reached gold in Teamfight Tactics again.
Nice.
So that was good. Finished No More Heroes 1. Played a bit of No More Heroes 2. And finished up a third playthrough of XCOM Chimera Squad.
Oh, shit.
Nice.
It's not good then.
I mean, I love that game, yeah.
Yeah, I realized that I have it in my Steam library, and it's downloaded on the computer, which is even better than Shadow Tactics, so I have a chance to possibly play it.
I don't know if that would make Jason happy because he also likes that game, or just more furious.
No, he'd be more mad. He would 100%.
Yeah, he would definitely be more pissed.
But then the actual games of significance are my copy of Hyrule Warriors 2: Age of Calamity finally came in the mail like 3 days ago, so I've been playing that, and that's been a lot of fun.
Nice.
Been in the mood for some mindless Muso action, and that's actually been impressive with how some of the improvements they've done to the generic formula and tying it into the Breath of the Wild universe.
Was that almost 2 weeks after the game came out?
Like a week and a half. Yeah.
That's still pretty bad. All right.
Yeah, it was quite frustrating. Got stuck between UPS and USPS for an extremely long time, but whatever. And then also I've been playing a crap ton of Persona 4.
Oh, the golden re-release on
Yeah,
PC?
yeah. Yeah.
How far are you?
I am in
Who do you have in your party? I'll say that.
I'm pretty sure I'm assuming everyone but one person.
Okay.
I'm assuming the person I'm currently going to rescue will be the last person because, he's the last person shown in the opening theme.
The detective?
Yeah, that isn't already in my party.
Have you played P4 yet, Fridge, or is this your first time?
This is my first time playing. This is my first time playing a Persona game. My second time playing a Shin Megumi Tensei game because I always forget that Tokyo Mirage Sessions is a Shin Megumi Tensei game.
Wow,
so luckily the learning curve for the actual combat wasn't as big as I thought it would be because it's the exact same. It's a very similar combat system with the same extremely dumb names for abilities.
See, it's gonna be funny.
Like Sakukaji and Rakukaji and all these things. And can you please just describe what the ability does in the description so I actually know instead of having to constantly look up the info?
No, they can't do that for you.
Yeah, no, of course they can't.
SMT is about pain, not about enjoyment.
Yeah, it's a fair point. But yeah,
you need to go back and rewatch what you said in about 2 weeks when you're further in the game.
Yep.
Though.
No, yeah, both me and David caught what you said there. We're like...
Interesting.
You'll get a kick out of it. It's funny.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, no, that's been a lot of fun. Again, the battle system's pretty fun. The writing is very hit or miss. Very, very hit or miss.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
It's the farther we get away from its release, the worse it ages.
Oh yeah, I can definitely see that.
I mean, as most games do.
Yeah, but this one I can see. Again, obviously it's my first time playing it, so I can't exactly tell how different it was from a first time. But this game has some bad attempts at comedy.
It has some good ones though, because Every Day is great at your Junes.
That's confirmed. Hard lock on that one.
That's true.
Pridge, I'm pretty sure you're gonna let me down on this one, but who is best waifu? Really? I didn't think you would pause on this one.
I don't know. I'm trying to decide how, like, probably Yukiko.
Yeah, that's what I figured you'd say.
I mean, Yukiko is kind of best.
No.
I mean, as long as
She is
I mean, I think
fine, but
best girl is probably Flat Teddy. Whenever he gets flattened, because that is
Yeah.
maybe the greatest like portrait picture ever, with like the slightly bulged out eyes and the facial expression. That is funny as hell. I don't know why I find it so funny, but anytime he gets flattened, it's just hilarious.
Yeah, Teddy's a good character.
Eddie's also annoying as fuck too, though.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Agreed. Agreed.
Want to kill him so
But
often.
he's better than gosh, what's the guy from Danganronpa?
Oh, haven't played it.
Monokuma.
He's better than Monokuma. Monokuma mostly I find annoying, and then sometimes I'm like, okay, that was cool.
I know we don't have Chris today, but have either of you played P? I know Pridge, you haven't. Have you played P5, Zach?
I've not.
Okay.
It's it was the thing where I got to the point in my life where I said, listen, unless it's on a mobile platform, I can't play a game that's longer than 60 hours.
It's kind of fair, yeah.
Although, as we get into talking about what I've been playing this week, we will hear I've started playing Ghost of Tsushima. So,
that's about all for me. So, if we want to segue that,
Yeah, go ahead, Zach.
sure. I've actually played a lot, very uncharacteristically of me. I've played a lot of games in the last, I think, 3 weeks since we've done the show.
Mhm.
I'm trying to remember what the other two were. I believe there was two, but mostly Ghost of Tsushima has like occupied my time and mind space. I love this game. I think it is fantastic. I just got to the third island, so
Okay.
I still have some length to go. I'm desperately trying to finish this before Game Awards because I want to see the ending to have an opinion. I think this game has a good chance of being my game of the year.
It's so good.
Dan in the chat, is Ghost really that long? Yes.
It's pretty long. I think
I think you could critical path it and get it probably to like maybe 40 hours, but I just don't see why you'd want to. There's to this point, I have not gotten tired of the gameplay loop. I will say the third island does ratchet the difficulty spike up a little bit to the point where I was getting annoyed with the first two encampments I raided, and then I kind of got around it. But
yeah, it ramps up at the end a bit.
Oh, I was so mad by the first camp I raided in the third island, but the game is just really, really good. I don't want to go too long with it, but I think large part of that is due to the fact that they had extra time to spend on it because Naughty Dog fumbled The Last of Us, and they essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, but Ghost was supposed to come out like literally early in the summer or maybe even into like late spring, but because of
I think it was late spring, and since Tilu 2 got pushed, they also pushed Ghost.
And because of that, we got a pretty ironed out product as well as a free tacked on multiplayer mode that, from everything I've heard, is fantastic.
Yeah.
I want to dip into it soon.
When you're finished, me, you, and Chris need to go fucking play that.
we should do assuming I finish it in time next Tuesday. Assuming we keep doing our like weird streaming Tuesdays, we should do a raid or something together.
We won't get to the raid yet, but we can.
No, we definitely won't get to the raid, but it's really fun. The gameplay loop is fantastic. The story of Jin Sakai is really good. The cast of characters is fantastic. For the most part, I mean, obviously there's some that you're like, "Well, I hate you," but you're meant to.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like the one you're probably thinking of, you're sort of meant to hate, or at least feel very conflicted about.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, I think the standout like side character is Masako.
Lady Masako, yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh, she's so good.
She's such a badass old lady.
Acting is fantastic. When it was her 8th out of her 9th mission, I haven't done her 9th mission yet. But her 8th mission where you fight her halfway through, I was literally like, "Are you kidding me?" I'm about to cry because I love this
the
character.
Side quests in that game are all good. Like, I shouldn't say side quests. All of the character quests in that game are all good. Like, Lady Masako's are great. The monks are kind of meh early on, and then he has some super cool shit later.
I feel bad because the monk definitely got screwed because he didn't show up till the second act of the
Yeah.
game. And by that point, you just care about Lady Masako, Yuna. You have strong opinions about Sensei Ishihara. You hate Ryuko.
Yeah.
Um,
Ishikawa's arc gets very interesting at the end too, if you haven't finished it yet.
Here's the thing: I haven't finished it yet, but I do like his story. So I just met whatever her name is for the first time.
Oh, Tomoe?
His apprentice, Tomoe, yes. Where she jumps off the it's really, really good. Honestly, I think the biggest hitting moment for me so far at the end of the second act, spoilers, um, your horse dies.
Oh yeah.
That was like the most hard-hitting moment for me because literally the whole game, you get 1 out of 3 choices at the start to choose what your horse's name is going to be, and the whole rest of the game, every now and then your character will throw in. Oh, for me, I picked Nobu, which means truth in Japanese. It was like, "You're a good boy, Nobu," and like all this stuff. And then there's a cutscene where you escape from who used to be your allies, and uh your horse takes 3 arrows for you, and like it's this cutscene where you're like driving him hard to escape, and like there's just a point where like he just can't run anymore and he just falls down, and you're like,
Yeah. Oh god, I'm getting chills right now just
I
you
I have
talking
chills
about
right
it.
now
Like
talking about it, and I
that
was
hit so hard.
inconsolable.
They
Uh,
build it up like without you even thinking about it too, because like as you're
yeah,
riding, Jin will
yeah.
fucking talk to the horse about like, oh Nobu, because I think that's what I went for the name too, actually.
Yeah.
Like, oh Nobu, when this is all over, like I'm gonna bring you to
Mhm.
the biggest field and you can like run free and shit. And this is
Mhm.
just when you're riding.
Yeah.
There's no stakes at that point. It's like, oh whatever.
Oh, yeah,
And it
it's really
fucking
good.
dies. Ooh.
It's really good. And I have a whole last third act of the game to go, so I'm very excited. Um, some of the combat does get a
Yeah,
little
it does.
irritating. Most of it feels great, and it's a fascinating game. I'm really, I will say, part of me thinks the upgrade tree for your weapons.
Mhm.
It's large, like there is a lot of items that you can collect, resources, but mainly the big item is supplies. And part of me, like when I started the game, I was like, that's brilliant. I love that. Just make it mainly about getting one resource and you can divvy up like what you want to dedicate that to. There is a certain point in the game you're like, oh man, I have to wait a really long time to get enough of this one resource to upgrade this thing. And it's like, ugh. I wish I think they should have rebalanced it just to give you more of that. But
Yeah, it
it
wasn't spaced out great. Like I
yes.
felt the same as you, where like I got a lot of upgrades in the weapons and stuff early, and then as it
Also,
got later, it was like, oh,
you just get some armors that just completely make other armors redundant
yeah,
very quickly, and you're like, oh well, why would I ever invest in this old samurai armor when I have this armor that makes me people can't detect me 50% as well, and I instantly kill 2 of them whenever I show up. So it's like, great, cool. I'm just gonna wear this all the time.
yeah. I
But
swapped around a lot actually with mine.
and that's the other problem. Anytime I'm not in combat, I'm wearing the traveler's armor. As soon as I show up to get into combat, I have to flip flop around, and I'm like just digging into menus. It's
I
that
thought
I think
okay, I thought they were gonna add outfits in a patch. I guess they never did that.
I don't think so.
Oh, that's a bummer. I know they had talked about it, but
It's the armors are fantastic. The game is cool. There are some weird things that like detract from it, but really this game is fantastic and I love it. So for me, I think it's my front runner for game of the year, personally. That being said, I haven't finished Hades, so at this point I probably won't in time for game of the year.
fair. Any other games for you?
Again, it's the thing. I know I've played other games, but it's been. I guess I finished Demon Souls. My feelings are the same. It looks immaculate, but it does still feel like a 2009 game. especially as someone who has played the rest of the Souls games, it's funny because it definitely is like, oh yeah, they reused this idea in this game, this game, this game, and this game, but this was the worst version of it. And that is both cool to see and also infuriating to experience.
Yeah.
There is one boss in particular that is literally the worst in the entire Souls franchise, and everybody on the internet acknowledges that. And I couldn't believe how bad it was playing it. I was flabbergasted at how unfun this boss was. They literally, the Souls franchise does have this like pedigree of quote unquote puzzle bosses, where it's not like, hey, you have to fight them, and if you pull off the skills, you win. It's figure out how to beat them, and use the environment to beat them. And I like those. Most of the time, they're cool. This one is so unfun, and just it becomes like, can you execute this thing well for that will take you minutes to do? And if you mess up once, the boss one shot kills you. And it's not too bad because you can restart right like 10 seconds away from the boss room. But man, oh man, it just sucks so bad.
That just sounds like a roguelike, though. Bad. You should like that.
That's not a roguelike.
I'm kidding.
And I guess also I played Bugsnax, and Dan says worse than Bed of Chaos. Yes, it's much worse than Bed of Chaos. The Bed of Chaos sucks. I've played Bugsnax. Haven't finished it. I probably won't, but it was a very good chaser to playing Demon Souls until like 1:30 in the morning, and be like, I am angry inside of me, but I have to go to bed. What can I do to calm down that isn't just scroll through Twitter?
Talk about
Bugsnax. Exactly. It's a good game. I would like to play more of it because I've heard the end is the best part, but I'm not gonna finish this game. That's all I got on that.
All right. Well, you mentioned.
Fun.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's a fun game. I like the mechanics. I like the cast. The names of the characters is probably my favorite thing. Hearing the Bugsnax, but hearing the Bugsnax say their names too is just really good to me. Like, you've got a burger that's like it's got French fry legs and like French fry tusks, and its name is Bunger, and it just runs around going Bunger, 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 Bunger. And if it hits you, it knocks you into the sky because it like flings you. It's some funny shit, but I'm not going to finish the game. It's December 2020. Too many good games are coming out. I gotta fucking play them all.
I'm planning to hit Bugsnax after Cyberpunk, probably.
I recommend. Like, I don't think it's a bad game.
Yeah.
I just don't think I'm going to finish it.
Well, you mentioned one game that I am currently playing, which is Hades.
I'm curious to hear your opinions on this.
So generally, I don't like roguelikes. I have been convinced through the opinions of everyone else on this show and numerous other friends who are like, no, you'll still like Hades, even though it's a roguelike. Well, you know what? You're fucking right. I still like Hades.
Whoa.
I'm not in love with it to where I'm like, it's anywhere near my game of the year. Abso-fucking-lutely not.
Okay.
Roguelikes still don't deserve that type of love from me personally. I get why other people like them. Not my thing. But Hades I'm enjoying. I think there's largely more of a story and character interaction than any other roguelike I've touched.
That's probably fair.
Yeah, which has been very nice. Like, it's like, motherfuck, I just died to fucking the Hydra thing. Oh, well, I just came back, but Hypnos is pretty chill, dude. And like, oh, look, there's Orpheus, and man, he's really down. He's in way worse shape than me.
Really quick, we've got another Twitch TV user who just followed us a few days ago. I think this is his first time in the chat. They just started Hades. It's really nice. Thanks.
A lot of fun.
It's good. It's very good. I haven't beaten it yet. God damn it.
Dan,
foul black heart, Asterius, and I shall force you to love our beloved game.
Fuck off, Theseus.
Fuck off, Theseus. Literally, I have died to the last boss several times at this point. Theseus is still my least favorite boss.
God, it was so great when I saw your comment in the Discord that when you were surprised that Hades is a second form. I love that.
I've gotten to
that's
Hades
funny.
probably.
It tilts everyone who does, like, yes, finally, I did it.
Yep.
Oh.
I've gotten to Hades. I can pretty consistently, like, every time now I get to Theseus, and most of the time I get to Hades now. But, like, the first time I got Hades down to 0 hit points or whatever, and he kneeled down, I was literally in Discord with some friends. We just finished, like, playing League, and I was just playing Hades. And I was like, yes! Da, bitch! Finally did it! Fucking done with this game! And then he, like, his health bar started to refill, and I was like,
Oh,
no.
classic.
No. So I had like a third of my health bar left and no Death Defies left, so there was
Right.
no chance I was gonna beat that. So yeah. Overall though, it is such a clean game. Like everything just works. It's very, like, I haven't run into any bugs. I will go back to that later with a different game I've been playing and why that feels so nice. But yeah, dude, it's just so clean. Combat's really good. Some of the weapons suck dick. That's probably my only complaint. The sword you start with is horrible. Like, it doesn't feel horrible when you first start with it, and then as you get the other weapons, you're like, man, sword kind of sucks.
You just can get the hidden aspect of the sword.
Yeah, like later on, once you get the aspects, it's fine. It's just like
I would say that maybe is the point, but
yeah, it's probably the point. But I don't think I'm gonna play enough to unlock that stuff because, like, as soon as I beat Hades once, I'm done. Like, I'm out. I'm not gonna keep playing it.
Fair enough.
I don't like it that much. I do enjoy it, and it's probably the only roguelike I can like say I'm enjoying, and I hope to actually finish. The other game I've been putting the most time into has been Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Valhalla? I don't know why I said it weird.
I forgot that you were playing this. What are your thoughts?
Like Ghost of Tsushima.
Ah.
Ghost is the way better Assassin's Creed game on every front. Combat's better. The exploration's better. I did. Ghost is better.
Okay. Is Odyssey better than Valhalla in your mind?
In my mind, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I don't think Eivor is as good a character. Like, I have a lot more times, like, in the narrative of the game where I'll have a decision to make. And, like, I feel fooled sometimes by the text options, which didn't feel like it happened in Odyssey. Like, some of them will be like, oh, you know, just like chill, bruh. And then I end up fighting up one of my friends and killing him. And I'm like, what the fuck? How did that escalate from there? There's a person, this is mild spoilers, not anything really story important, but there's like a crewmate of yours that's like following you for a long time and sees everything that you do and how hard you're fucking working. And then he's like, you're not working hard enough to do the main quest thing. And it's like, bitch, that's all I've been doing. Fuck you. And then you end up fighting and, like, you kill him. But there's a lot of stuff like that where it makes it hard to like Eivor as much because it feels less like I am Eivor because some of the narrative threads don't really work well. Dan in the chat, sounds like we slept on the path list. It's on my list. I will get to it guaranteed. Just haven't gotten to it yet.
Same. I do want to play the game. I don't think I'm going to get to it before the end of the year because I assume once December 10th comes,
Cyberpunk time
will take over my time. But, I do want to play it very badly.
The other issue I have with Valhalla is bugs. This game is buggy as fuck.
It's a Ubisoft game.
No, like, bad buggy. Because Odyssey
really?
had
Like
some
Bethesda
bugs.
buggy?
Like, Odyssey had some bugs, but it wasn't, like, horrible. This has all the Odyssey bugs. Didn't seem like they fixed any of them. Some of them actually got reverted because there were bugs that they fixed in Odyssey that got patched out later that are back in Valhalla. And they had, like, there's a bug early on. They patched this out about a week ago, but there's a bug where if you got into combat while on your horse wouldn't be able to run anymore. Like, it'd go to a trot, and it's like, no, I'm literally just trying to go down this fucking road. Just because there's a wolf nearby, I don't want to slow down, thank you.
That's
Oh,
hilarious.
that's annoying.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
like, that stuff was really annoying. I had, I think, 2 crashes. One hard crashed my PS5, and then the other just crashed the game. And I've had to restart the game because I got stuck on shit multiple times. Which, granted, not as big a deal as it would have been if I played on like a PS4 or something, because the load times are pretty stellar.
They are very good.
But like, one of them, I was literally just walking on a path and I got stuck on a log in the road. Couldn't move, couldn't get out of it.
I have had that happen to me twice in Ghost, to be fair.
Oh, and that didn't happen to me at all in Ghost.
I got stuck in a permanent falling animation once, and then one time I was in a story mission and my uncle got caught on something and he was supposed to help me open a door. And I was like, well,
that's
yes,
less surprising. I'm less surprised when it's an escort thing, but
as soon as I reloaded, my uncle was literally right next to me at the door, and he's like, let's open the door. And I'm like, okay, cool. This literally took 6 seconds to fix. Great. Because load times are so fast.
Too horrible. I had a couple where my horse got stuck going at the speed of a snail. I don't fucking know what that was. I just got it. I fucking got off the horse and walked at that point. And the combat seems like a little unresponsive at times, like compared to Ghost, especially. Like Ghost dodging and parrying system is honestly leagues ahead of Valhalla's. A lot of the dodging, there's literally no way to cancel an animation in that fucking game, I don't think. So like if you start swinging, you're gonna get hit if they start doing something.
If
they're winding up. And there's just like inconsistencies where it's like, oh, okay, if an enemy hits you at all, you get staggered. If you hit most enemies, they don't get staggered unless you hit with like a heavy attack, and it's just like,
that's annoying.
There's a lot of weird inconsistencies and audio issues out the ass too. The music just doesn't play half the time. I've had, and my roommate had this problem with it too, of you'll just be walking and the music for when you're raiding a settlement starts. And you're just in a forest and you're not even in combat. Like, I'm just walking in a bush and it's like, you hear like drums coming in and like, oh shit, is something about to happen?
Where's the boss?
Where's the boss?
No, it's just an audio bug, and like sometimes audio doesn't fire. Overall, it's just really buggy. For the most part, not game-breaking bugs, but enough and frequent enough that it's actually annoying.
I am bummed because I this was the first Assassin's Creed game I was thinking about picking up, and from everything I've heard, I'm like, maybe I just wait till the next one.
It's wild to me that's reviewing at levels pretty much equal to Ghost. Fucking wild to me.
Is it really?
It's got like an 84 or something.
Yeah, I feel like Ghost should be closer to a 90 personally.
Yep. Only other 2 games I played. I finished Miles Morales since the last time we talked. Combat's better than the original game. Everything else feels worse. I think that's pretty true to what I said before. It stays pretty true for the whole rest of the game. And then finished Astro's Playroom.
That's so good.
That was a fun ride, man. Especially if you're like me and you played a bunch of old PS1, PS2 stuff, there are whole sections of the game that are just like kick you in the nostalgia bone, like over and over again.
The fact that there is a literal section where it is raining and then there is an origami figure, and I was like, fuck, is this a Heavy Rain reference? And sure shit, yeah. This janky ass PlayStation 3 game made by David Cage has an actual reference because it was important to the PlayStation library at one point.
And at one point it was a PlayStation exclusive. I think that's really the only rule they had. Was it had to at one point have been a PlayStation console exclusive. And there are so many references. Like
there's some deep cuts. There's a few that I was like, I don't actually know what the hell this is.
There are a few very deep cuts. There were a couple where I'm like, did they have to license this? Like there's a point in the I think the PS1 section of the game where it's just fucking Cloud's sword is sitting there, and I'm like,
I was like, there's no way Square Enix was like, oh yeah, cool dog, just use it for free.
Yeah, like there's no way. So they put a lot of time, and like you can tell they put a lot of time, love, and care into just the art and animation of this game and making it kick you in the nostalgia bone like over and over. It was great. I loved that the levels were themed on parts of the PlayStation. That was super cool. The GPU song is a hidden banger.
It's so good.
I didn't think you could put a song about a fucking GPU in a video game and it would be good, and I'd literally like stop and listen to it.
Pridge, if you will, in the background, just pull this up on YouTube. The GPU song. I'm sure it'll come up. And can you quantify if this is or is not a banger?
So
as somebody
good.
who's not played the game, yeah, I just wish that game was 4 times as long.
That would be
and
a
I would
little much for
absolutely.
me, but
Oh no, I would have paid $60 for that. Oh, I guess $70 for that if it was 4 times as long.
it
Even
is
3 times as long.
so
Probably.
much. It was so much better than I ever anticipated it being. Like,
Same.
blew me away, and I think that's part of why I think it's as good as it is. Is like, it's a pack-in title. Expectations are low. So when they come out with a game that just is fucking good, like you could have sold this as a $40 game, and I wouldn't have been mad, even though it's only a few hours long. Like I would have been happy with it. It's that fun.
Dabasco Stick in the chat says, "Is that the one where you explore a PlayStation 5?" Yes.
Yep.
It's the first game I've considered platinuming.
I
decided not to. I decided not to.
It was very easy.
It's the frustrating thing where now I want a platinum Ghost, and I'm on track to.
You kind of just do all the shit on the map, and you get the platinum.
Yeah, I just don't think I'm gonna have time to.
Yeah, the platinum does take.
Cyberpunk.
The platinum definitely raises it to a 60-hour game compared to like a 50.
And I just don't think I'm gonna have time to squeeze that in the next week.
That's fair.
But
yeah, I platinumed Astro's Playroom. I platinumed Miles Morales just because it was easy to do. Not because I loved it or anything. And I am 100% not going to fucking platinum Valhalla. I didn't mention this when I was talking about the game proper. It is smaller than Odyssey map size. I think there is more shit on it. There's so much to do in every section of the game. It's like, why is this here? It's really dragging for me, but I think I'm towards the end, so I'm like, at this point I'm just gonna power through before Cyberpunk comes out next week. But like, it's dragging. It's rough for me right now to finish it. Fridge,
what
is the GPU song a banger?
That's all right.
I'll take that. That's a banger.
I'll take it.
Right.
I'll take it.
All right, we talked for way too long about games we played.
Wait, for 3 people.
I feel like this discussion will be shorter than most of them, though. So
I agree with that.
Topic of the show: are remakes diminished pieces of art? Now,
not innately.
I'm with you on that one. Before we dive in, let's do some ahead of time semantic bullshit.
Okay.
All right.
So, remake versus remaster. I'm pretty sure we're all on board with we're talking about actual remakes, not remasters, right? Where changes to the game were made or they rebuilt the game from the ground up.
Yes.
Okay.
So, like, I think Dan mentioned it early, like the HD remaster for Wind Waker, not including that shit.
Okay. Yes, that would not count in my mind.
Or like the Uncharted Drake collection where they remastered all of those for PS4.
Or Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition where they just like added some new menu options and a small side story at the end. Like we're not counting that stuff.
I would if they add more content, I would almost consider that a remake.
Well, let me float you this. Would you consider Sonic Adventure 2 Battle a remake?
No, that's a
Sonic
port.
No, it is not. It did not have a multiplayer mode in the original version. That is a huge addition.
Did anyone play the multiplayer?
Yes.
Sonic Adventure 2 Battle? Hell yeah.
Yeah, it kicked ass.
Oh.
Well, only the racing levels. The other one's kind of.
I didn't have friends that played that, so I didn't play that one. Multiplayer.
I very much liked the multiplayer when I got to play it.
I feel like that one is kind of on the like Last of Us remastered thing where Battle came out so close to the original that it's not really a remake, right?
I wouldn't consider it a remake. No,
Okay.
I would say just it's a remaster with an addition, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Okay, that's fair then. I get you.
Dan Sinar says translations from Russian to English were updated in the Devolver Digital HD version of Pathologic. Thoughts? I don't
That's
think I
not.
have any.
I
That's
don't
not a.
I don't even know what that game is, so I have no
Yeah.
thoughts on that whatsoever.
So, somebody keep talking. I'm gonna do some research.
So what about like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2?
That is a
Yes.
remake.
That's a remake? Okay.
I mean, they
That's
did
a
significant
massive
changes and
That's true.
redid all the textures. Even the character models are updated to
Yeah,
the
that's true,
old versions
actually.
of the skaters. My question is, and Pridge, you haven't played this, I don't think. Does Final Fantasy VII Remake count? Because it's not the same game.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's weird because it's basically a new game.
Okay, really quick. I understand what Dan is talking about. Basically, the original game of Pathologic, which is a original Russian game that was translated to English and distributed by Devolver. It had its entire game, I guess, retranslated and re-released
No, that's just a
for
retranslation.
the HD. That's an interesting. I wouldn't consider that, assuming that nothing else was changed. But
Yeah, if there's no game, I mean, if it's just the redoing of the translation, that's not really changing the game's like assets or building blocks. Just
Yeah, good examples that pop up to me, not necessarily good games, but good examples are like the Shadow of the Colossus remake for PS4.
everything Bluepoint has done.
No, they did the Uncharted stuff. That wasn't a remake, but
You know what? I didn't even remember that was them.
yeah, I
And
think
you're right.
that's where they
That
got
is not
their
a remake.
big start. So like Shadow of the Colossus, the recent Resident Evil 2 and 3, I think
Yeah.
are both remakes. Shadow Dragon for the DS, like Fire Emblem Shadow
example.
Dragon. Sorry.
yeah.
As shitty as that game was.
I'll have to double check, but I know the Majora's Mask remaster, and let me see if the Ocarina of Time was also done by, I think it was Grezel was the name of the studio they hired out to
I
do
think
the
they were
remake.
done the same.
I think it was both of them. The Ocarina of Time one, I don't have too many problems with. I have some, but the Majora's Mask, I do find they fudged it.
But just for semantic shit, I think we're kind of on the same page with what a remaster
Yeah.
is. What a remake is. It's like from the ground up changing a game. Oh, and that Dragon, didn't they do a Dragon Quest game recently that was a remake? Or wait, sorry, no, something of Mana. You played it,
Oh,
Zach.
Trials of Mana.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, Trials of Mana.
That's a remake. Yeah.
And there was also one for not Sword of Mana. What was it called? It's one of my favorite Super Nintendo games.
Was it now? Can't even remember the
Yes.
name.
I know. Mana games. It might actually just be Sword of Mana.
I feel like it's probably Sword of Mana.
It is Sword of Mana.
Okay.
I was right the whole time.
Okay, so all right, we got a good idea of what it is. So now back to the question at hand. Just because a game is a remake, does that mean it is a diminished piece of art? Diminished being like not, and I'm throwing this out there. Diminished being not of like the same worth as other games that are originals.
Sorry, really quick. The game is Secret of Mana. I was wrong. There is a Sword of Mana. It is a prequel.
Yeah, there
that was
is.
only
I
released
know.
in Japan. Sorry, what was the question?
So the main question at hand of just because a game is a remake, does that automatically mean it is of less worth than an original game? So it's a diminished piece of art. I'm interpreting that as a piece of art that has less worth or validity. Does that sit well with you too?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, not if that's how we're wording diminished.
Okay. Go. Why don't you throw a definition out at me then?
When you said an art has like less value to me, I almost jumped in and was like, well, all art is created equal. I don't actually believe that because I'm not an idiot, but uh, art is subjective, yada yada yada. That's the short. That's the TLDR version of that. Um, no, I mean, obviously it's in the eye of the beholder. There's something that Tim Rogers, who I'm a huge fan of, has said multiple times that a part of me does agree with, where it's like, for him, and granted, he is fluent in I think 12 languages, which is just absurd. He has the I can't remember what it is, the name of the neurological disorder where you literally can't forget anything, which is also
Oh.
it's just been terrible for him. He has just it's just ruined his life, but he also because of that, it's much easier for him to pick up languages, and because of that, he is fluent in many. And he believes that it is, if you're going to experience a work of art in its truest form, you should experience it in the language that it was first created in. And that is something that I can side with
Mm-hmm.
to an extent. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to learn Greek just to fucking read the Iliad. Like, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to learn Italian just to read Dante's Inferno. Of course not. I can read it in English, and I can have, cliff notes with me to be like, hey, this is what the literal translation might have been. Here's what a much more like understandable translation might have been. Cool. Obviously, that gets more squiffy with something like video games, which is an interactive medium. And of course, different languages is a completely different thing than, playing a video game in its original, 64-bit version versus, I'm going to play it on my 3DS. But Dan in the chat says, you don't know Shakespeare. Do you heard it in the original Klingon? Exactly. It's frustrating. I think, yes, there are clear-cut cases where you can say, hey, don't watch Lord of the Rings in fucking 720p if you can watch it in HD. Like, that's just, you're a dumbie. But like, there are cases where you have to say, okay, this is what's accessible to me. This is how I can play this game. Here, this is how I'm going to do it. That being said, if we're going to look at a specific case of like, okay, it's the year 2020. Someone says, let's play Resident Evil 2. Am I going to play the original Resident Evil 2, or am I going to play Resident Evil 2 Remake? Both are different games at this point. They are different games. Leon Kennedy does not control nearly, or Claire Redfield does not control nearly the same in either game. And some of the boss fights have been radically changed. A lot of the game has been radically changed. For my money, I would say play Resident Evil 2 Remake because it's a fantastic game that still captures the essence of the original game as best it can and makes it accessible to a modern audience. I'm not going to say, hey, look at this game that looks like dog shit, that loads like dog shit, that has tank controls and garbage voice acting, and be like, yeah, this is a real experience. You're going to have a great time. Obviously, there's enjoyment to be had there, and especially if you have nostalgia for that, yeah, go play that version. Are you kidding me? But it's like, for me, I love Ocarina of Time so much. Today, I don't think I think it would be I would have a hard argument to tell someone who's never played Ocarina of Time to go find an N64, find that, get a cartridge for it, plug in your garbage looking N64 controller and play that game versus play the 3DS version either through emulator or through the 3DS. But like, I personally, I think there are some things that the 3DS does worse than the original, for sure. But at the same time, I wouldn't tell you to not play that version. Now, there are versions of games that have been remastered that I'm like, nah, that's a worse version, and you shouldn't play that. And I guarantee you we can think of several. The Majora's Mask version, I would say maybe don't play that. But also,
if not for the ability to get it, then yeah.
Right. True. The Majora's Mask remake definitely changes the vibe. It changes the way boss fights in that game works, which is huge. I think Grezzo definitely overstepped their boundaries in making that game, and I kind of am surprised that Nintendo didn't say, "Hey, you changed the way the bosses work. Don't do that, guys." But yeah, Arcade Fan brings up Super Mario 64 DS. That game radically changed the original
did it?
game. Yeah, you could play as Wario, Luigi, and Yoshi in that game, and
Oh.
each of them function differently. And I believe it added 30 new stars,
Oh, fuck off.
which some of them are fun to get. Some of them are like, no, why would you change this? You can, if you want to use the metal cap, you have to be playing as Wario to use it. And Wario functions differently in the rest of the world. And also, you have to play it on the 3DS, which doesn't have as good of a analog stick. So that's a good example of that game is worse for wear, and I would not recommend somebody play it. Does anybody else want to talk about games? Because I just talked forever.
The reason I really brought up like a remakes or even remasters being like a lesser form of art or having less meaning is that when you create a remake, Final Fantasy VII notwithstanding, you're not really creating a new thing, right? You're taking something that already exists, and sure, you might be upraising it, you might be adding new textures, you might be tweaking a couple things to make it work on modern systems and run well on modern systems and be accessible, but you're not really, for the most part, I'm sure there are some exceptions, and I think those are the ones that I would not consider diminished works. They're not really making something new, right? You're essentially one of those artists that copies other arts to make copy prints and then sells them for less than the original. That's what I feel like a remake is.
You're a rat bastard.
And I think there's great reasons to do a remake. I think 3D All-Stars is a fantastic example of making games that were on old systems accessible to people who would not have played them. I would never have played Sunshine or Galaxy if 3D All-Stars had not come out, because I didn't own either of those consoles. So, or I did own GameCube, I just didn't have that. But
wait, you never owned the Wii?
No.
You were one of 2 people in the world that didn't own the Nintendo Wii?
Yeah,
America's favorite console?
I was very poor at the time. I didn't get a console that gen.
The console was $200.
Yes. That's
and it
my
felt
point.
like it. But I said it, the Wii's a bad console, everybody.
Stay on topic.
Still wrong. But my point is I think remakes are good for accessibility of games and honestly prevent emulation and pirating for the most part. But I don't think as like pieces of art that they stand a candle to a new indie game for the most part. There are exceptions, but I think when it comes to being a piece of art, not at all equivalent to an indie game.
Arcade Fan does bring up the Ratchet and Clank remake or reboot in 2016. I don't know if any of us has played that.
I haven't.
I have not
either. Yeah,
I know it's good, but I haven't played it. It must be good. They made another one, so.
Hey, they made a movie, and that did poorly. But
well, that's a video game movie. We don't talk
about
those.
I tried watching the Ratchet and Clank movie. I did not finish the Ratchet and Clank movie.
Dang.
Oof. Bridge, where are you sitting on this conversation?
All right, so both of you brought up some good points. Again, I think accessibility is obviously a huge issue with an interactive medium like video games because the technology changes so much. And Zach, your point to the Tim Rogers talking about the original languages is very interesting because, and I won't get too deep into this, but it's interesting because you point that out. Is as someone who loves anime and manga, I always tend to try and find which one was created first and which one's based off the other, and that's the one I read because it is more akin to the true essence of what the story was, because it was the one created first. It's not the derivative work from it. But when it comes down to video games, obviously a remake is going to be a different experience because the original was made with certain technological restraints, certain technology at the time. So it's always going to be a different experience because you're not going to be limited in the same way the original was, and a lot of that comes down to accessibility, but a lot of that just comes down to, just the reality of it being newer and having more options, more things it can do. And sometimes with old games, it's cool to see how they tried to get around those technical limitations. If you really get into older games, some of the creative things they would do and some of the new innovations. So it's always going to be a different experience. I just don't think diminished is the way I would ever put it. Because again, I think there are a lot of really phenomenal remakes, and even if they aren't recreating, and even if they aren't making a new story, it can still have its own. It can still have very much its own or a greater artistic value, especially with ones that do add small things, or even like the Final Fantasy VII that just basically completely changed the gameplay. Right, because that's the thing. Obviously that's an exception because most remakes don't fucking change the story.
Or don't take the story and fucking kick it off a cliff. Yeah,
I can't think of another game that has done something like that.
I can't either. No, I don't think any remaster has changed the storyline of a game to that extent.
Tetsuya Nomura for you, man.
Speaking of Tetsuya Nomura, y'all know that the Kingdom Hearts remake, they had to remake that from the ground up, even though it actually looks and functions exactly the same. Apparently
the PS4 one, PS3, I guess. Actually,
I think it was last generation, or the generation even before that. But they something happened at whatever studio that was actually made at, and a fire burned down everything, and they lost the hard drive that had the original source code to Kingdom Hearts 1. And they had to remake that game from the ground up to put it in a remaster.
Yikes.
Which I cannot imagine
that hurts.
That got us stuck. That's just a funny story.
That hurt. They almost had to do that for Toy Story.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think it was a fire. There was some issue where basically they lost like a bunch of the source material for Toy Story, and it just so happened that one of their producers or something had done something that was against their IT policy and pulled a bunch of files to her local machine at home. And they were able to piece the movie back together because of it.
God bless. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, it might have been Toy Story 2, Arcade Fan in the chat. I don't remember which one it was. It was some Pixar movie, and I thought it was Toy Story 1 or 2.
Really quick, I do want to shout out Pridge in the chat just said, can we cast the worst video game movie? That has to be a topic.
I'm adding that to the topic list.
Yeah, no, I was thinking of an ATC tops, and one would be like where we actually create what we think would be a good video game movie, and also what we think would be the worst video game movie.
We pick Metal Gear Solid the movie. We put Steve Harvey as what's his name?
God.
The DARPA chief.
Oh my god.
Who has a heart attack.
Like, I'm thinking, because I think in my head I was like, all right, I want M. Night Shyamalan directing a Kingdom Hearts movie, and just trying to pick like the fucking worst Sora I could think of. Give me like a Shia give me like a young Shia LaBeouf as Sora, and just I want to make the worst.
No, we keep the person who voices it. It's still Haley Joel Osment.
I was gonna say just make, like an old chubby Haley Joel Osment playing Sora.
100% Tetsuya Nomura would have to still be attached to make it the worst movie.
Oh, of course. No, of course.
And we're definitely doing this as a topic. We're definitely doing this as a topic.
Yeah, we got to do 100%. I don't know. Is there any other things to add to this?
I don't know. I was trying to look at a list of remakes, see if there's anyone that like really caught my mind as like, something really like. Well, I'm saying, what brings up an interesting point, but again, so many of them are like things just got put in a collection. I mean, that's the big trend nowadays. It's just older games put in a collection.
That's kind of what I feel what diminishes them, right? Like they're not propped up anymore. When they first came out, it's like, here's this brand new thing. It's the new hotness at the time. And then when you remaster it later, more often than not, it kind of just it sells enough, but they're not like monster hits. Usually companies will just do a remake right before they decide to go back to the series, like
Yeah,
I'd
to
be,
get hyped
or they'll
back up.
remaster. I like they're doing
Mhm.
Mass Effect remaster. I'd be shocked if there isn't another Mass Effect game a year or two after the Mass Effect remaster comes out.
Really
Yeah,
quick.
it's crazy that it hasn't gotten a game since the original trilogy.
Yeah, crazy
Yes.
that happened.
Yeah, just they never made a fourth game. So weird.
David, did you ever play Black Mesa? Dan brought it up in the chat, and I forgot to play that last
I
year.
haven't played Half-Life at all. I've never played a Half-Life
Oh.
game. That's my gaming pile of shame, which will
mean-
probably also be a separate episode we do at one point.
Here's the thing.
Oh god, I can't be on that episode. I have like 80.
Half-Life.
There's so many big games I just don't play.
Half-Life is a series that I think has to be remade because I think it is very difficult to go back to and play with fresh eyes and be like, "Oh, this is a great game," because it is not aged very well at all.
The first
either
one
one
for
or
sure.
two.
2
One
has done
especially.
better, but 2
Yeah.
has enough mods that I think you could play it
Mhm.
and like get a good
Yeah.
experience. But
Dan says Half-Life is half as good as people remember it. I agree with that 100% because it does not look so good. It looks like dog shit now. It looks like what you remember N64 games looking like, and at the time it looked very good.
that's kind of true. I guess I don't have a whole lot to add. I guess I probably have the least opinion on remasters and remakes from the sounds of it. Where like I don't think they're good for accessibility, but as an artistic, creative thing, I do think they're lesser works of art. Because you're not making something new. You are taking a thing and putting a new coat of paint on it. It's not like you made it.
But is that not? But is that not still new? Is that not still art?
It's
Does the man who creates a forgery or painting still not, in a way, creating his own art?
Now it
by
doesn't.
putting
Putting
his own spirit
Let
and his
me-
own love into the work.
Let me touch on that because I think it doesn't say anything about the people making the game. So
Yeah, I know.
maybe like the directors and stuff, but like the people doing the like making the models, making the textures, making the UIs, doing all this stuff, they are still generally, minus a couple remakes that have truly sucked ass, they're very skilled in their work. It's the same as if you can copy a masterpiece painting, you're still a fucking good artist if you can copy a masterpiece painting.
It's true.
Your skills are there, it's just the creativity is not there.
True.
And I think that's where my issue with remakes is like the skill is present. Bluepoint 100%. They have some of the best skills in games as far as I'm concerned so far. But until we see them make their own project, I don't know that they have the creativity to create their own piece of work.
Really quick in the chat, RK fan said also slide PlayStation 3 ports are clearly better because they include PlayStation Move mini games. Then Dan Sayonara Stan said the exact same thing but added 4 emojis to it and then said I remade his chat. Comment remasters. That's the new thing, folks. Be on the lookout for comment remasters.
We have those. They're called copy pastas.
That is, ooh, man. The artist. All right, new topic. Let's go, guys. What's the artistic value of the copy pasta?
All copy pastas are not made equal, but some copy pastas are very good. Just like remasters of video games.
Some copy pastas are more equal than others.
Yeah.
Listen, you remaster a great game, it's probably still going to be good at least. Exceptions exist,
sure.
but
that's why people do
one
it.
thing I will point out: Demon's Souls is way too high of a fucking Metacritic for remaking a 2009 game and feeling like a 2009 game.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, you guys are jealous that I'm gonna win the fantasy thing.
I mean, even if it was lower, I would most likely still lose. So, Phoenix Gods and Monsters, which I will refuse to call by its real name, is
Really
apparently
shit
not a
bad.
great game. So. I'm not gonna win our fantasy thing.
Demon's Souls, I will touch on for a quick second because I played this through to completion. It is the only Souls game that I have not felt like replaying, which is very unlike me. Usually, once I finish one of the FromSoft games, I start it again and just get through like the halfway point as fast as possible, which usually only takes me a few hours because I've become very good at playing the game as is the game wanting you to do. You don't normally level yourself up or level your character up. You level yourself up and your ability to play the game, which is why I enjoy them to some extent. But Demon Souls, yeah, it feels like a 2009 game, and for the things that they touched up, it's the thing where I think this is the most pure remaster that they could do. They did a few quality of life things to fix the game. They got rid of over encumbrance with items, which like I can't imagine playing this game with that. That would be absolutely the most tilting shit of all time.
Pick up a thing. Games like, fuck, you picked up too much grass, man.
And you have to choose which to drop, and I'd be like, oh, I don't fucking know, man. Like, just drop my life, please. But so many other things are just beyond frustrating, and for them to not do some quality of life on that, it just tilts me off the deep end. But I suppose to people who played the original and loved it back then, they'd be like, oh yeah, this does the exact thing, and there's some quality of life improvements. This is the better version of that game. For me, it still just feels like a tilting game, and I don't want to play the original ever because of this.
Yeah, as someone who played the Crash remakes and loved the original Crash as a child, I don't want to play those anymore. And while the PS4 gen version of the game is the best, that's mainly just because it looks the best and you can play it easily. But like Demon Souls, everything janky about it is still janky.
That's a good point. I actually have replayed the Crash. I played the Crash remaster in the last few weeks, and I forgot about that. It is, like you said, very fun. Thankfully, you don't have to use the D stick to control Crash. You can use the analog, which is mind-boggling.
At times, I think the analog is better, but separate topic.
You're right. I actually swap between the two when playing the remaster. But yeah, there are parts of that game that are very frustrating to play.
And they didn't improve
for better
those.
or worse. No, yeah,
They're
exactly.
the same.
Exactly.
All right, I think we've talked this to death. Any final thoughts before we close out?
Remakes are not diminished pieces of art, but they're not always good or better pieces of art. I'll say that.
Okay, Bridge, you got any final?
Much the similar statement. They are a different experience, but that does not make them intrinsically lesser or greater.
I think the frustrating thing is most of the time they are more accessible, and for that reason, I would recommend them over the original versions. There are a few examples that are like stand out strongly, but even then, I might still be like, I don't know. If it's harder for you to play the original, then just play the remake. You'll probably like it better because it looks better and feels more like with the times.
Arcafan has summed up my feelings very succinctly. They are not diminished works, but at the same time, they are diminished works. I will leave you with that.
Wait, did you not read what he said?
They're not diminished works, but they are diminished works.
Nope. Try to read that second line again.
Oh.
You missed it the second time.
They're diminished works. That's a callback to a post that we did not proofread. All right. But yeah, I think that about sums it up. I definitely think they're creatively diminished, but technically not diminished, and more accessible. So
that's a good way of here at Around the Monitor. We never let jokes die. Exactly.
True statement. 10 out of 10 statement.
I can't wait. I can't wait till the next time we play Jackbox and we just start typing in "diminished" for like every single for like every single quibbage or whatever.
Yeah. Hyo and Hyo's diminished brother.
I gotta use that.
RuneScape guy.
All right. Anything to plug?
I guess check out the Majora's Mask Woodfall Temple analysis video I did this week. That was a lot of fun. Dragged a little bit to work on because got a little bit of that self-doubt in my creativity, but it got out, and we are excited because tomorrow I'm getting up early and going to New Jersey, as I never want to do, and we're going to record the Pokemon edibility tier list that Chris, or Fisher, as you may know him, uh, is working on. He wrote it. It is a fantastic script. In his words, it will be out before the end of the year. Personally, I don't believe him. My normal scripts are about 5 pages. His script is about 18. I don't understand how he thinks he's going to be able to edit that in time, as well as keep his full-time job. But hey, maybe that'll work out for him.
I gotta say, as someone who has read the script as well, it's gonna be good. If Chris can bring that to life half as good as his script is, everyone will love it. So look forward to that. We're gonna hold Chris to it before the end of 2020.
Dan says Jigglypuff tastes like cotton candy. I keep them in cages in my house. Plus, I get a great night's sleep. That's a damn good idea, Dan Siners. Kind
of fucked up. I mean,
I
guess
that's also.
I guess Pokemon is just dog fighting.
Each
So
other,
yeah,
to be honest.
Yeah, that's pretty true. I don't think I have anything to plug this time. I guess just since this is after Thanksgiving and we didn't really have an episode close to it, thanks again to the community. You guys have been super active in chat, which is always fun. Super active in Discord, always fun. We very much enjoy the positive and solid community that we have, and it makes everything that we do easier when you are all positive.
Absolutely. Important thing, next Thursday is the Game Awards.
Oh yeah, that's worth plugging.
If you don't have someone to watch it with, which what are you gonna sit down with your girlfriend and watch the Game Awards, you fucking nerd? Come watch it with us, because we are going to make a drinking game out of it, and it's going to be a hell of a fun time. Last year,
and we like and we like video games. We love just ripping on the Game Awards.
Yes,
Jeff Keighley getting a plug, but please tune in. I believe it's
7 p.m. Eastern time.
7 Eastern, 3. No, that's 4 Pacific.
Yes.
It will be fun. Made some. Is it 3:30 Pacific? 5:30? Whatever. I will.
Don't confuse the kids. Come on.
Sorry. Look up when the Game Awards is. That's when our stream is.
We post something, and we'll post a schedule on Discord.
We will post
we'll have it
we're trying to start doing per week, is where we post a schedule. What we actually
it'll be great.
Doing.
The preliminary rules for the drinking game are very entertaining. So if you've got comments, go in our Discord.
If you are a longtime fan of Around the Monitor, if Breath of the Wild 2 is mentioned, I have to finish my whole glass. Chris has to drink 7/10 out of his glass. So
that's a joke I made in that whole list.
I think that joke is excellent. But
all right, with that, I think that's it. Let's end the show.
Sounds good.
This has been Around the Controller. Have a wonderful night.
Peace.